Are you a manager who receives a lot of feedback from their people? Or are you a manager that rarely hears anything from their team and is sure that that means that they're all blissfully happy? My name's Simon Tyson. I'm the CEO of The Real Learning Experience. In this short video, I plan to share with you some thoughts about why people may not give their leaders feedback and to give you 5 simple strategies to make sure that you're one of the leaders that does hear from their people. To give you an idea of the dynamic occurring here, a number of years ago I worked with an organisation that prided itself on receiving almost zero negative feedback from its customers. Now that looked really impressive at first, until I looked at the systems and the processes they had in place by which customers could give feedback. The reality was they were making it so difficult for customers to give negative feedback, customers gave up. Instead of simply being annoyed about whatever they were annoyed about, now they were also annoyed about the difficulty in making a complaint. That organisation was kidding itself. There was plenty of negative feedback out there, they just weren't hearing it. As a manager, does that describe you? Are you someone who prides yourself on never hearing anything negative about your performance from your team? If you are, is that the reality? Or are you perhaps creating a climate and processes in which your people can't or won't give you that feedback? I'm going to share with you 5 simple strategies to make sure that your people are able to tell you what's really going on out there, to give you feedback that may help you improve your leadership performance. The first of those strategies is to make it easy for your people to give feedback. Make sure that you're approachable. Now, you may have seen another video in which I said leaders should always be approachable, but not necessarily always available. Within those confines, when you are available, make sure you're approachable. Do your people come to you wondering which you they're going to experience today? Or do they know that you're going to give them an open and positive reception whenever they come to you? What we're really saying here is make it simple for your people. Make yourself someone that they feel good about coming to with ideas, with suggestions and with feedback, even if that feedback may be about something that's not completely comfortable for them to talk about. Now, the second suggestion is when your people have the courage to come to you and talk to you about things, avoid justifying or arguing at all costs. If the first thing they hear when they give you feedback is yeah but, or some other form of justification or resistance, they'll soon conclude that you're not listening anyway. So why bother taking the risk of talking to you about something that's not completely comfortable? When they do approach you, a far more positive response would be to ask them questions, listen intently, dig a bit deeper, let them know that you're really interested and that you really appreciate them making the effort to give you this feedback. Ask them questions to get at the real heart of the issue that they're talking to you about. They'll soon conclude that you're taking their feedback seriously. The third tip is make sure your people don't feel like it's a risky behaviour coming to you to talk about difficult issues, to give you feedback about things you may not want to hear. If they're scared of the consequences of giving that feedback, they won't give that feedback. And you'll sit there and delude yourself it doesn't exist because you're not hearing it. What I'm really saying is create an environment in which it's okay for your people to have discussions with you, even if they're uncomfortable. The fourth tip is make giving and receiving feedback in your team habitual. Don't leave it to those one-off or occasional moments. If you do, no wonder it becomes awkward. Instead, create a habit in which you have many discussions with your people, both formal and informal, in which feedback's exchanged, where it's simply part of the fabric of having conversations in your team. For example, I work with a number of managers who use a strategy we recommend called 1, coffee a day. Every day they go to work committed to having one coffee with a team member sometime during that day. In that conversation that accompanies the coffee, they're not giving instructions, they're not organising that person, they're there to listen, they're there to ask questions, they're there to understand how that person is going and to receive feedback from them about their own performance as a leader. Now, the fifth and final tip is to give feedback on the feedback. That doesn't mean instantly responding to something they say with a justification or a resistance. What it does mean is thanking them for taking the time, the effort, and doing something that's uncomfortable in giving you feedback. And then asking them if you could take some time to think on what you've heard before getting back to them. Maybe a couple of days later, you go back and talk to them about your observations, about your thoughts about what you've heard. Even better, go back to them and tell them what you plan to do differently as a result of the opportunity they've given you by providing honest feedback. If you follow these 5 simple tips, I'm confident that you'll create a team in which giving and receiving feedback is the norm, in which having open and honest conversations about difficult topics is just part of the fabric. Most importantly, you'll surround yourself with people who tell you what's really happening and will give you feedback that allows you to improve as a leader. As always, we appreciate you watching these videos. If you want to make sure that you never miss a video, a free resource, or a blog, please subscribe to receive alerts every time something new is published.